This is Pedro Predictions. That was random. Anyways, today I will be looking into the Nations League. I'll be predicting what I think in each league, but this video will focus on League A, the results. So overall, the Nations UEFA, correct myself, UEFA Nations League. The purpose of it was to eliminate friendlies, some of that pointless friendlies, and create more competitive football, which, let's be honest, in turn that would just result more money. That was their invested interest higher up, let's be honest. But overall, it's been 2 seasons of the Nations League, third one coming up. I think it's been a success. Revenue-wise, UEFA and whatnot are going to claim so. But the attitude is still very much like friendlies. That was very evident in the last 2 seasons. Players that have never played before getting their first caps, youngsters being played, very experimental sides. So it's still got that attitude, not quite all that competitiveness. But all in all, it seems good, for these youngsters or for players that haven't played enough, or even coming up to tournaments like this season's Nations League as preparation for the Qatar World Cup. It's good for the managers as well to assess kind of where they stand with their squad. Unfortunately, I think compared to the first season, this second season of the Nations League and this season and so forth will be very predictable, if I'm honest, especially in League A. I think the issue they've had is increasing it from 12 teams to 16, so it's groups of 4 rather than 3. That has created a lot of predictability and safety nets for the bigger teams, because in the first Nations League season you had Germany relegated, but oh no, Germany can't be relegated, so it was quite evident after that. But either way, I'll still give my predictions, and there may be some predictions that aren't so obvious, but yeah, this video will be looking at League A, and I'll be having other videos for League B, League C and D. Okay, we'll start with the first group in League A. In Group A1 we have France, Denmark, Croatia and Austria making up this group. Yes, I am aware there's a watermark over here, veed.io. Shout out to them, good editing video platform. Maybe they should sponsor me if I'm going to continue with this watermark. Anyway, let's continue. So I'm just going to give a quick summary of all the teams, because there's 16 teams in each league at least, so we'll go through this quickly, and let's be honest, it's only the Nations League. Only the Nations League? How dare you! Anyway, with France, I think Deschamps will be very experimental. I think he might even test out different keepers, like Menon, Areola, just to see, because hey, Lloris isn't invincible, could get injured, who knows. Again, test out the defence, as Varane hasn't had the best season at Man U, and there's a lot of youngsters like Saliba, Koundé, Upamecano coming through. Again, experimenting, as always with the Nations League, experimenting. But the midfield, Camavinga, Tchouaméni for Monaco, a lot. And even the strikers, there's not too many old ones. There's not too many young ones, but I think he'll need to test out as well, because again, if there's injuries or to avoid predictability, coming up against them, so there'll be, a lot of that from France. Denmark's a really solid squad. They'll definitely give France good games, very close games with them. They've shown it in past qualifiers as well, like they're really a solid team. Yeah, so they will, again, experimental with the whole thing, as you'll see, a common theme in all of Nations League. They'll play youngsters, so I don't think we'll see Braithwaite as much. I think, like France, they'll have to experiment their keeper, because Schmeichel isn't invincible either. Their defence, they'll play around with, so they might concede a few goals in that. Their midfield, they'll play around with Ericsson. They might put back in, to see as they did in the friendlies, but they'll be testing more, the youngsters or the less experienced ones. In striking, we might see Dolberg more, Damsgaard if he's fit, Olsen, or even in midfield, the Lindström, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, for Frankfurt. He's had a good season, so yeah, I see Denmark doing well. Croatia, Dalic has got a task. Again, he'll want to be experimenting. They've got some few young defenders. I don't know so much about their striking force. There's some less experienced ones, but they're not that young. Like even Orsic is in his late 20s. So yeah, there's a lot of work to go around. I feel like it'll be a very odd campaign for Croatia, but there's still a solid squad. They'll still do it, but I expect some odd results from Croatia. I'm not going to lie, France is their bogey team. They can just never get a good result against them. So, yeah. Austria, people aren't expecting much, but I think that could play to their advantage. The other three teams are preparing for the World Cup, so they've got no pressure whatsoever, and they've appointed Radnik, which is quite interesting. It would be nice to see him back in Austria and with someone he's more familiar with. The other teams are too strong, but they'll give a good fight. They'll definitely give a good fight, and I think people will be surprised with Austria with what they'll produce. So yeah, the end result, not going to lie, I think this is the most predictable group in Ligue A. France will really let off compared to some of the other groups. So I see France topping it. They're not going to win all their games, like I said. Definitely see some draws, maybe even a loss, but comfortably topping their group, reaching their consecutive second finals. Then Denmark, I pipped them over Croatia. They just have a bit more depth, and I think they're a bit more solid than Croatia. Then, sorry Austria, just don't see it. But they'll try. They might as well go all out or just experiment. I think they'll definitely pull some results. I do see them winning a game, but overall I think it'll be a weak campaign for Austria. In Group A2 we have Spain, Portugal, Switzerland and the Czech Republic. Nice Iberian derby there. Yep, still there, lovely watermark. So Spain, see them still doing really good from their good form. From the Euro semi-final, the last Nations League, they've been doing really well recently, given they had like a rough period several years ago. Luis Enrique, great manager, like he did so well with Barcelona, and he's doing it at the national level too, and it's great to see actually that he's putting trust in players who people might not associate with that kind of like high caliber clubs. But it's clearly paying off, and he didn't have anyone in the last Euros from Real Madrid, so it clearly shows a lot of faith in terms of players. They've got a wide range of even goalkeepers. Unai Simon, they're playing a lot, but they've even got, the one for Brentford, Raya, Sanchez for Brighton, and again, these aren't, high caliber clubs, but he's clearly putting faith in a lot of various players. In midfield, you've got Pedri, Gavi, youngsters coming through. Even up front, you've got, who do you have? Torres. Torres is still he's got amazing stats considering he's 22. Luis Enrique might even try out Yeremy Pino, who's, for a 19-year-old, he's had a good season at Villarreal. There's just a lot going on for Spain. I do see them being challenged. It's a difficult group, nonetheless. But I see Spain having a strong campaign. Portugal, honestly, I think have one of the best squads on paper in the whole world at the moment. You've still got youngsters like Rafael Leão, João Felix, Ruben Neves, Renato Sanchez, who people have forgotten about. Like they have so much depth as well in their squad, even in defence, with Cancelo, Ruben Diaz. There's a lot of depth in the squad, and I don't know what it is, but Santos seems to have. He did really well at the Euros 2016, and he's done still quite decent with them. But I feel like he's the type of manager who doesn't know how to get the best out of his squad because they've just got so much depth. He doesn't know what's the best solution, and he still relies way too much on Cristiano Ronaldo. And let's be honest, they've got so much depth, Portugal, that they don't need to do that. We'll wait and see though. Again, like I said before, this will definitely be Portugal's testing ground for the World Cup. I see them dropping points, again, because of that management or not knowing the chemistry. I see them dropping points, but again, they're strong enough to do well. Switzerland, the last Euros they had a good run to the quarterfinals, almost got to the semi-finals, just lost out on penalties, and then they carried that good momentum to the latter stages of the World Cup qualifiers where they pipped Italy to top their group. So I see them bringing momentum with them. They are a good team. Just with Switzerland, I feel like there's not enough depth. It seems to be the very same players playing over and over again. And in June, there's actually 4 Nations League matches. And I feel like if they don't rotate their squad enough, they'll either get injuries, or if they do rotate, it's just there might be that kind of chemistry issue. So I do see them having a mixed campaign. And Okafor, he's 21, I believe, playing for Salzburg. I know it's only Salzburg, but he's really good, and he showed in the latter stages of the World Cup qualifiers, coming on as substitutes, and he was a game changer. And I think Switzerland have found a good number 9 after Severovic to take over the reins of number 9. So watch for Okafor. I see him doing well this campaign, but overall I see quite a mixed campaign for Switzerland. Czech Republic, they had a very good Euro campaign, reaching the quarterfinals, surprising people, you could argue. They will bring that form in. They got to the playoffs, okay, granted, because of the Nations League, got to the playoffs of the World Cup. They only just about lost to Sweden, and they fought really hard. I see them, again, having a mixed campaign, but to their advantage, similar to Austria in their group, they don't have pressure of trying to get the best chemistry and preparations. No one's expecting them to do well. I do see Czech Republic pulling good results in this group. I think they are capable. The quality it's quite a big gap compared to the other teams. So overall, mixed campaign for the Czech Republic. So my prediction of the final standings of Group A2 is Spain top in the group, reaching their consecutive Nations League final, Portugal second, Switzerland third. Sorry, Czech, 4th, being relegated. They will they'll produce good results though, nevertheless. Looks a bit predictable, almost like the draw in the previous group. What is this UEFA? Awful, rubbish, garbage, stupid piece of idea you've got of a Nations League. Now, I promise the other groups will look more interesting. In Group A3, we have Italy, Germany, England and Hungary. Yes, you'll notice I'm wearing a Hungarian football top. Mert Szülei Magyarok. Hit it. Alright, this isn't about singing national anthems, so let's get on with it. First team in Group A3, Italy. Not gonna lie, Italy, I don't know what's actually happened. They had a fantastic Euros, change of philosophy, latter stages of the World Cup qualifiers. They didn't do good. They missed out. Yes, there's going to be issues with the Italian FA clearly and their league and whatnot, but if you guys have a good explanation of what has gone wrong with this Mancini side, leave a comment in the section below. But I do see that seeping into their Nations League campaign. I do see them having issues. There seems to be this characteristic issues. A lot of the old guards, like Chiellini, have retired. So let's see where it goes. But I do think Italy will have a very, very mixed campaign. And I'm not going to go into details about players because I'll be honest, I'm not really sure why this has happened. So please enlighten me, guys. Deutschland, Germany, under Hans Flick, they look transformed compared to that transitional phase. They look so solid. Then again, I don't think they've been tested enough with Hans Flick in the helm. This will test them, big teams like England and Italy. They'll definitely test Germany. Hans seems to be getting a good chemistry, or just being able to get the potential out of Werner, Havertz, Henrichs, the fullback. He's really quality, and he's finally playing him. Wirtz, I think he'll start playing as well. So there's a lot of potential coming through, young players as well. And I think that transitional phase is over, and I feel like this is optimal for Germany, and I think they will have a very solid Nations League campaign under Hans Flick. England, lovely England, football's coming home, mate. Anyway, England, yeah, I do see them having quite a strong campaign. I see them dropping points though, and I think that's due to Southgate having such an abundance and such depth in the England squad. The most depth I've ever seen in an England squad in my lifetime, so a few decades, and I'm sure many agree. But yeah, again, he's going to experiment. He's got a lot of talent, young ones as well, to play around with. So overall, it will be a good campaign. It will be a good campaign for England. Last but not least, in Group A3, we got Hungary. If you look at the last Nations League, they were in quite a group of death, or a very tight group anyway for League B, if you see here, and they still top the group. If you look at the last Euros as well, they were pitted in a group of death, as shown. I think this is a good opportunity for Marco Rossi to experiment with the Hungarian side, test out newer players, because if you're looking at Adam Salah, he's like 34, so he's not the future. Maybe if he plays someone like Schön more, and see where that goes. So yeah, they'll just be messing around, playing around, no expectations on them, and I do see them picking up points. Group A3 final standings, I see Germany getting on top, getting to their first Nations League final, England second, Italy third, and unfortunately Hungary relegated realistically. Not going to lie, I do see it coming to a last match day or something like that between Italy and Hungary. Like, I really do see Italy getting some jammy results and relegating Hungary. In the final group of League A, Group A4, we have Belgium, Netherlands, Poland and Wales. Cymru am byth! Yeah, I was brought up in Wales, so they're my team also to support. Luckily, both of my teams, Hungary and Wales, are in League A. So this group, the reason this is interesting, this group, is because I think it's the most unpredictable out of all of League A. I think it's the most even. And Belgium and Wales, if you see, Belgium and Wales have this kind of rivalry. So it kind of started in the 2014 World Cup qualifiers. They were in the same group. And then the following qualifiers, the Euros 2016 qualifiers, they were in the same qualification group. And then, of course, the infamous Euros quarterfinals. Wales beat Belgium to reach the semi-finals of Euro 2016. And and the most recent World Cup qualifiers, they were in the same group. So there's a bit of like a rivalry there. Belgium. I see Belgium having a strong Nations League. Probably not as strong as in previous ones, as I think they're going to be cautious in terms of preparations for the World Cup, not getting injuries. Maybe Roberto Martinez will experiment different people like Doku, Trossard, maybe even Mangala, just to experiment and see what's going on. Netherlands. I see the Netherlands having a really strong Nations League campaign. Again, like Belgium, they need to be preparing for the World Cup. It'll be interesting to see Louis van Gaal back at the helm. He always seems to do quite well with the national team, even though his style of football may be controversial or whatnot, but looking at the last qualifiers or the matches he was in charge for those qualifiers, they were playing a much more interesting football, more attacking to what we're used to seeing of Van Gaal. Youngsters coming through like Timber, Gravenberch, even Frankie de Jong, De Ligt are still there. Maybe we'll see Van de Beek back in the fold as well, as Van Gaal has this tendency to get the best out of his players. That's what I find with him anyway, for the national Dutch side. So I see them having a strong campaign, entertaining football. They'll be conceding goals, yeah, sure. But I think it'll be entertaining watching them, this Nations League. Poland, they got a new manager. That will be interesting to see, because I feel like some of the previous Polish managers relied too much on Lewandowski. So it'll be good to see if this new manager is more lenient to test some of the younger players like Moder, Świderski, Jóźwiak. He's quite good, that winger. Yeah, he's quite good. So it'll be interesting to see some of these, just not Lewandowski, because I do think Poland's a solid team. They lack a bit of depth, and I think that will be evident in the Nations League, but they'll give all the other teams a good game, and again for the manager to test out what squad's best for the World Cup. And for the final team, Wales, Cymru. I see Robert Page, this Nations League, experimenting. I don't see him playing Gareth Bale, Ramsey, Joe Allen as much. I think he'll give more opportunity to players like Sorba Thomas, Harry Wilson, as he's on fire for Fulham. Colwyn, this young guy for Cardiff City, I see him giving him more of a chance, and some of the other players to test out. And the thing with Wales is that the atmosphere in the stadium acts as like the 12th man. It's incredible. I've been fortunate enough to go to a few games, and it is incredible, and I see that home atmosphere helping Wales a lot this Nations League campaign, and I see them having quite a strong one. Not as strong as last time, given League B was easier for them. I see them having quite a strong campaign this time round, though. However, they do have the World Cup qualifier playoff, so that could be a distraction as well. That could be difficult in terms of rotation, because I believe that's 5 games they're going to be playing in June, so that's like a tournament, the number of matches in itself. But yeah, I see them still having quite a strong Nations League campaign. So the final standings for Group A4, I see Netherlands topping it, getting to another Nations League final, Belgium coming second, Wales third, and Poland fourth. The reason I say that is because the final match day is, I believe, Wales versus Poland in Cardiff, which will, again, like I said, the atmosphere plays everything for Wales. It was always going to be between Poland and Wales in terms of relegation. I think it's still going to be close. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the other way around. But I'm going to, Cymru and Byth to pip over Poland and Poland to get relegated. The other reason I say that is because I feel like Wales perform better against the elite nations than Poland does. Poland, no disrespect, they have this tendency to, they can perform. They're a solid team. Just they don't seem to perform that well against the elite nations. So that's a rough summary of my predictions of what I think will happen in League A in the UEFA Nations League. If you disagree, if you agree, leave comments in the comment section below. And I will be making videos for League B, League C and League D, because I do think, like I said earlier, League A is predictable, and League B and League C could be far more interesting. So thanks for watching, subscribe, and see you in the next video. Pedro predictions. Nah, okay, I need to get like a new intro, exit, whatever you want to call it, because that is shocking.